No, this was in front of people.
Yeah, well, now you know.
They just said you're going to film something, and I walked in. I was like, "There's a lot more than just."
Well, you can
camera."
tell them a little bit about yourself, of how. Don't get too personal because it's our family life, right? But you can tell them a little bit about, the influences around you, around music, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you guys know who my dad is, so I grew up around mariachi music, and mariachi music has run in our family for 125 years. So I'm the first one in the family to have pursued a genre outside of mariachi music. So I started doing pop music, so writing for. Do you guys know what EDM music is? Electronic dance music. Like the music where people, how do you even describe EDM music? Electronic dance music or pop music, like what you would hear if you put on 102.7 KISS FM. That's the kind of music that I started pursuing, which is pretty different from mariachi music, but yeah, everything comes down to a great melody and a great lyric. So when I was in college, I moved to New York, and I studied music business and pop songwriting and what it would be like to write for other artists. So there's a lot of, what are some artists that you guys love listening to? Other than mariachi music, what popular artists do you hear on the radio? Who? I can't.
Can't hear? You gotta speak up.
Kodak Black, Cardi B, and Taylor Swift.
It's okay to say
Jennifer
that.
Lopez.
It's okay to say that. Don't feel like because you like pop music that, oh my God, I'm anti-mariachi. That is not the case, okay? You guys are very, very blessed, and you're surrounded by all these different styles of music, and that only makes you a better musician, okay? So don't ever feel embarrassed to say, hey, I like rap. Hey, I like... Okay, continue, Mija.
So anyways, I didn't know until I was in college that a lot of these people don't write their own songs. They actually have songwriters come in and write the songs for them, and you can make a living off of writing songs for other people. So I've written songs for people like Jennifer Lopez or for Fifth Harmony. A lot of those people don't write for themselves, so you can make a living writing for them. So that's a bit of my background, and now I've transitioned into doing Christian music, which is a completely different genre, but it still all comes down to having a great melody and a great lyric.
No.
Tell them a little bit about how it's changed the iTunes and Spotify, and how it's changing so quickly, and like one of them is.
Well, I think we'll get to that. We'll get to that later, but give them a little bit of the other type of music that you would hear me play, or I'll tell you, listen to her sing, and listen,
Yeah. So growing up, he would always play for me like Patsy Cline or Barbara Streisand or Doris Day. If you don't know these names, you should ask him about them.
And you would
later.
think, oh my God, Jose put Lola Beltran for his daughter, and he put Amalia Mendoza. And I knew she was going to hear mariachi, whether she liked it or not. So why would I put more mariachi for her? She was going to hear it. She's born into it, right? So what I wanted to do, I wanted her to hear other singers, other genres, so it could expand her musical palette, Continue.
It backfired though, because then I was like, I don't want to do mariachi music, I want to do other music. But he would play for me like Barbara Streisand and Doris Day, the Carpenters, and Linda Ronstadt, of course. So I would listen to all of those other influences. So I never felt boxed into only listening to one genre of music. It was always like the more the merrier, and it made me really fall in love with beautiful melodies and storytelling, which mariachi music is storytelling. So I think like growing up, when my dad he'd obviously say the lyrics in Spanish, and then he would like say the interpretation in English and explain the story and how colorful it is. And honestly, writing in Spanish, in my opinion, is way more beautiful than writing in English, because you can say things that you could never get away with saying in English, because the metaphors and the language are just way more vivid. But
So I grew up when the music business was, the big record labels would say, oh, they have like an A&R person that goes and scouts different local bands or different local singers. They would do that, and then if they like someone, they go and they sign them, and they have a record contract. and then you have this big old corporation, record label, put millions and millions of dollars behind a singer. So everybody could listen to that singer and to make a star out of that singer, right? So now, how have things changed for singers, for artists, and for songwriters?
Well, everything's on computers now. So when you listen to music, do you guys listen? Raise your hands if you listen on iTunes. Raise your hand if you listen on Spotify. Raise your hand if you listen to CDs. They're like, we still listen to CDs.
No wonder my CDs aren't selling up there.
But yeah, everything is digital now. So a little secret that iTunes just announced, they're not going to do any more downloading of CDs starting next March. So next March will be the last time that you're able to actually download a CD. Everything from, I don't even know if you knew that, but everything from that point forward is
Nice to hear.
is going to be streaming. So everything has turned into streaming, and music, the value of music when you buy it has decreased, obviously, because of streaming. But with that, it's so exciting because you could go to websites like cdbaby.com, or you could go to TuneCore or DistroKid, and you could upload your own music literally overnight. So right now, if you're at home and you're working on music yourself, for instance, is there anybody, this is probably maybe the wrong audience, but anybody in here who knows GarageBand or ever plays stuff on GarageBand? Okay, are any of you want to be producers one day and make beats? Yeah. So you could literally make a beat on GarageBand, meet somebody in here, unless you sing too, sing on it, bounce it out of GarageBand, go to cdbaby.com, upload it, and it will be available on iTunes 2 days later. That is how instant music has become, which is an incredible thing because all of you could be recording artists and all of you could put out music instantly, but it makes it harder because you're not going to get paid as much on just the music. So you have to be kind of business-minded in, okay, if I put out this song, what other plans do I have to make money off of this song? What does my merchandise plan look like? What does my touring plan look like? Are there other people I could get to cover the song so that I have multiple streams of income? You have to be way more like Jay-Z, for instance. Yes, Jay-Z raps, but he also has clothing lines, and he also has record labels, and he also has publishing companies. He's an overall businessman because you need to be a business person in order to succeed in music today. There's this really good book that I read that you should get it if you make beats. It's called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business. And it's a blue book, and it's really thick, and you're gonna be like, this looks really boring. But just have it on your shelf, and as you get older, just keep reading it because there's so many good principles in there, and I learned a lot from that.
Now, have they ever asked you to do something, for instance, to use some of your songs for a movie or a potential movie? Because sometimes you have source music, right? Music that's already in libraries, and they'll get the rights for them, and then they use them for a movie. Or there's sometimes they have the film composer that goes and he writes the background. What I talked to you guys about the other day, that between the director and the music composer and the music editor, they spot the movie. They decide what parts of the movie is going to have music, right? But then they also have the main theme of the music, right? The opening of the music have you ever come across anything like that?
Yeah, so we call that sync. So writing for sync. So that's syncing to film and television and movies. That's probably the only part of the industry left where you could just make really good money just based off of that song without having to have other plans around it. There are music syncing companies that you can get in direct contact with. But you guys have a leg up from what I do. You guys are actual musicians. You could orchestrate. I can play piano a little bit, but you can probably play better than me. So people really do look for, especially now because there's less and less people studying music theory and getting a really good knowledge of the technical side of music. you're going to have so much value moving forward into movies and stuff like that, because they need orchestrators, they need people that know how to arrange, they need people that know harmony. So all that stuff that takes more time is going to be increasingly more valuable.
That is something that man, it's changed a great deal, the stuff with film. But what I've noticed is that a lot of pop singers are like, their songs are beginning to be part of all these movies, you know. Or they'll go back and they'll get one of those one of the classic songs and put it into a new movie. You know, I love you, baby. So you see it in a new movie. What's up? You know, oh, regresa a mí, return to me. Can you see that I'm lonely? I've seen it in movies, like, I mean, big screen, $1 million movies. You know, some of the old tunes. So that happens also. But I think your song, did it just come out today? Mistakes. She wrote this new song called Mistakes for the Christian label that she has, which is Influence Music, right? So tell them a little bit about that song.
Yeah, so Mistakes, if you have iTunes or Spotify, you can check it out today. It's called Mistakes, and I released it through a label that I help run called Influence Music. Yeah, and the song is really just about that God doesn't make mistakes. That's the point of the song. The lyric is, you don't make mistakes and you didn't start with me, even though I'm far from where I know I'm supposed to be. And yeah, it's really a song that just kind of attacks like fear and insecurity and anxiety, which I think if you're going into the music business, is something we are all familiar with, because it's so easy to compare yourself with people. But yeah, I'm excited because I feel like that song is more than just a Christian song. It's a song that can speak to anybody and then hopefully point them back to our other music.
So tell them a little bit about the twists and turns about getting the song out there for people to listen to.
Yeah, well, we put out a live version of the song earlier this year, but today we put out the radio version of the song. Do you guys still listen to radio? Raise your hand if you listen to radio. Okay, cool. So the industry right now is kind of split. Half of the people say radio is still important. That's how people find their music. Other people are saying, don't bother with radio, just do streaming. So right now we're in this really interesting period where we have a big old streaming strategy for like iTunes and Spotify, and then we also have a strategy for radio. So you kind of have to have the old school and the new school mentality. You have to be on the forefront, like YouTube. Did you guys see that YouTube is launching a music service? Like, now YouTube will be the new iTunes. Like, you have to kind of be on top of it, of who's going to be the next in streaming. So you have to be on the front edge of that, but at the same time, you can't forsake all of the old ways, because there's these people called agents, and agents are in charge of booking tours for you. So if you want to, because you guys opened for Luis Miguel, right? So like an agent would book that tour. One of the questions that agent would ask is, what's their radio play like? Are they getting any radio play? What regions do they have the most radio play? Because we'll want them to tour in the regions where they have the most radio play, which is more part of the old school model, but it's still important because touring is super important. So that's just been part of navigating all of that.
Yeah, it gets really complicated. Now, when you say that when you're bringing the old school together with the new
school,
you know, cutting edge new school, and in many ways that happens with mariachis too. You know, we have technology, we have this music that's being written, that's being, you know, put into Finale, put into Sibelius, put into whatever other music program there is out there. I don't know, besides those two. But we're learning tizones, we're learning guapangos, we're learning boleros, rancheras, we're learning all that with written music. And that's beautiful, because that means that we get to connect with more people. But at the same time, it could be very detrimental. It could be negative in some way, because mariachi is really how would they call it? Like an oral kind of art that you have to pass orally. You have to sing it. You have to sing the lines to a person so they could learn the feeling, the whole way. It's singing. You're singing with your instrument. You're singing when you're bowing. You're trying to interpret. You're not following like a normal staccato, legato, how everything's set in place like an orchestra. It is not like that when we interpret mariachi music, right? So we have to combine the old school with the new school. Basically what we're doing right now in Masters, right? We're all like memorizing 6 songs. I think they have it pretty much memorized, 6 songs in 2 days. Could you believe that? 6 new arrangements that I did right there on the spot for our vocal phone finalists. So, you know, I don't want you guys to forget that. That's very important, you know, but that sort of like triggered something, you know, when you said combining the old school with the new school, that's very, very, very important. Para nosotros, bueno, cambiamos a do, you know, we're changing a different key, right? So we're inverting the notes. Sometimes the first trumpet part becomes the second, or the second trumpet part becomes the first trumpet part. Sometimes the violins have to change, you know, in different parts of the register. So it's very important that we all know music, right? That not only that comes into the picture, but it's fast decisions, right? So, for instance, I've been around a little bit longer, right? So for me, Jalisco, if we're gonna accompany in another key, I'm gonna do the most logical, simple adornos in the whole world. Tan, tan, taga, 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 da. Sometimes, like they didn't know that we're gonna back that up, right? So there was a little confusion there. They're thinking of Sol's arrangement that we do when we do with the ballet folklorico, right? So when it happens the second time, right? So si estoy cantando el tono, ¿no? I sang the adorno. I sang you guys the adorno. So I know that they heard it, so they know what they're gonna play now, right? So the verse. Ay, Jalisco, 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 te tienes soldado de Guadalajara. Muchacha bonita. So we know right away, you know, what we're gonna do for pretty much, you know. So when we're improvising, that all comes into play, but we have to know in what key we're playing. We know we're playing the key of C, right? All naturals, no naturals. I think all naturals, no sharps, no flats, right? ¿Tenemos otra cantante, hombre? ¿Any más? Gente, Rita. This is the fun part. Un aplauso, un aplauso. Tension. Who has seen McFarlane? The movie McFarlane. Who has seen the movie Rango? Who has seen all the Beverly Hills Chihuahuas movies? Who has seen the movie Trolls? Trolls. Wow, okay. Well, we've been very fortunate, you know, through the years. We did music for all those movies. Sol de Mexico did a lot of the music for those movies. And we've been involved very much with Hollywood. I think my family's been involved since the early 60s. It was a movie that came out, I think, 1964 with Elvis Presley. It's called Fun in Acapulco. And Elvis Presley singing with mariachi, and that's with my father. So, you know, we go back many, many years working in Hollywood and movies. And other movies that were filmed, that were scored, like by Quincy Jones. My brother Crescencio worked with Quincy Jones. We've been very fortunate. We worked, I think, mostly with Sol, I think from the 80s on, these last 35 years, I would say 35 years, we've been involved in quite a few movies. I can't remember a lot of them because a lot of them were TV series. The latest movie that we provided music for was a movie that's going to come out in December, okay? Remember the name of this movie. The name of the movie is Nicole. Nicole is the daughter of Santa Claus, okay? Nicole, the actress who plays Nicole is Anna Kendrick. Who knows Anna Kendrick? Anna Kendrick, yeah, okay. So I think Anna Kendrick did she come out on Glee? Was she in the movie Glee? I don't know. She did another movie. Pitch Perfect, okay, I think she was one of those movies. But the storyline behind Nicole
is that Santa Claus is really, really, really old and he can't deliver gifts to kids anymore around the world. So he's hoping that his two sons would continue with the tradition that Santa Claus has left. And none of his kids wanted to do what their dad did. But he had one daughter, her name was Nicole, and it was Nicole who was always in love with what her dad did, right? So she said, Daddy, if you teach me how to be Santa Claus, I wouldn't mind being the first woman Santa Claus. So the story is about the first woman Santa Claus. And Disney called me and they told me that there are some scenes in the movie that were filmed, I think, in Ontario, Canada, I think Ontario, Canada. They were already filming the movie, so that she had a little mariachi group with her in the North Pole, right? So they needed 5 songs for the movie, and they wanted me to do 5 versions for the movie. So I went ahead and asked, well, what's the movie about? How many musicians? Well, it's a small group, about 5. Okay, so the group's of 5. So I had to pick what instruments we were going to use for the movies, for those tracks. So I did Silent Night in Spanish, Hark, the Angel Sings, another one we did in Spanish. Me acuerdo de las otras, but there was one that was really came out of nowhere. The director wanted me to do something that had to do with swing music. Who knows swing music? Just like a jazz shuffle. And it's a song called Love Helps Keep My Heart Warm, something like that was recorded by Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald. So I was thinking, I go, man, to do that with mariachi, a ver qué onda, no? So I went onto YouTube and I got some of the versions and I told them, oh, okay, it's doable. So what I'm telling you right now is something that pertains to music education and studying music. Like, who likes music a lot? Raise your hand if you really like music a lot. Like, who wants to be like a music teacher? Who wants to teach in a school? Be a music teacher. Who wants to be like a composer? Who wants to work in Hollywood? All right? Yeah, some of you might want to do music for video games. Like my son Christian loves music for video games. He likes to follow a lot of the composers that write for video games. For me, I've been more involved with the mariachi side of the music in Hollywood. So we did these songs. They're going to come out in December. Remember the name of the movie? It's called Nicole. Okay, so go look for it. A lot of times when we orchestrate, when we see it, have you guys ever seen a movie without music? Who's seen a movie without music? It's very few times when you see a movie without music. Well, when you see a movie without music, it's the most boring thing you could ever see. It's very boring. What moves the whole story behind the movie and all the storyline and the scenes in the movie is the music. The music. Like, for instance, who's ever seen the movie Jaws? I know it's way behind you, but there's a movie that they did, Jaws, about a shark. There you go. You hear that? Hear that? You hear that? What he's doing? He played 2 notes that are together that create a lot of tension. Tension means something that's together like this. He played 2 half steps, I think. Hear that? But let him ring a little bit more. That's even more tension because they're ringing together. No, if he does them short, it gives you the tension. But what that does, it gives you suspense. It gives you more suspense because they're cut off. Even if he goes da da da, and wait, like you don't know, you're like waiting. When is it going to happen, right? Well, in Jaws, that was a whole. Every time you knew that the shark was close by, it was this, right? Or you did something wrong, and you're waiting for your parents to yell at you. Right? So all that's what they do, composers do, in Hollywood, how they move composition, how they move harmony. And it's very, very, very beautiful. It's like they could say, how can you create tension with one note? How can you give the people the sense of tension with one note? How would you do that? Really? That's more than one note. I said one note. That's tension. That makes you feel like suspense, right? So they teach you all that in music, right? So every time that you write music for movies, you have to talk to the director, and the director calls the music editor, and the music editor comes together, and there's 3 of them, right? So they look at the movie without music, and they decide where they want music. They call that spotting. Everybody say the word spotting. Spotting, like spot. This is a spot. So they'll say, I want music very, very subtle here. You know, okay, well this is like, you know, a love scene, or this is a scene where the grandfather finally sees his granddaughter for the first time. You know? So there are certain things that make you feel like, oh my God, it's like such a great sensation. Like, go ahead and tune one of the glissandos with a 6/9 glissando. It's very like angelic, right? Like it's very angelic, right? It is all that we do it through harmony, right? Now try to do another chord that's a little bit more with more tension. That's a dominant chord, which gives you a little tension. Right? Or you do a minor chord, just a minor chord. Minor chord is like insecurity. It's like you don't know where it's going. A minor chord, you don't know where it's going. So if I tell Pique toca do menor, so you touch do menor. Ahora toca sol bemol menor, F sharp minor, F sharp minor. So do menor, F sharp. Okay. Otra vez do menor. Hear that hear that progression. Do it again. Hear it. What kind of sensation does it give you? Listen to it. Wait, Willie. It's a sensation of. It's not really taking you anywhere, so it gives you sort of like suspense. You want it to resolve, right? But if you go sol menor, fa sostenido, sol 7, do menor, watch. No, do menor, fa sostenido. Fa sostenido menor. Sol 7. Now it's going to C minor, right? Because we're adding the G7. But when you do it the other way, there are certain ways, like if it says do menor, mi bemol menor, fa sostenido menor, para atrás otra vez. That's what we call median harmony. And a lot of times in composition, we do that when we want to create.
Hi, my name is Veronica. My daughter is Valeria. She is a guitar player. This is her 5th year coming to Mariachi Nationals with Jose Hernandez. I'm what you call a 100% mariachi mom. Wow, the reason, let's see, well, my daughter started playing mariachi, attending mariachi, school of mariachi when she was about 7. And the first time she came to Jose Hernandez, one of his conferences, she was 10. And it was basically to inspire her. You know, she got to come and just look at everything that was going on. She attended the classes. She got to see other students, and she got really inspired. She's a fan of Mariachi Reinas de Los Angeles, obviously of Jose Hernandez and Sol de Mexico. But yeah, so she's been coming for 5 years. This actually will be her first year competing with her mariachi group. And every time she comes, she gets inspired. She learns from the teachers, from her guitar teachers. So she's actually done a voice. She kind of goes back and forth between guitar and voice class, but guitar is her, what she likes. So yeah, this is, like I said, her first year competing here. She's very excited. Her mariachi group is very excited, and as parents, we're here with them, supporting them. In the past years, I actually volunteered as a mariachi mom, just guiding the students when they've done them at other schools. But yeah, I think from my perspective as a mariachi mom, we have to be there supporting them, motivating them, and just, as a guide, these conferences are great for them because they get to see other kids. Sometimes in the past, kids from Mexico, other mariachi schools have, attended, and they get to also create friendship. My daughter has created a lot of friends from here. Has kept in touch with them, and it's a great experience. It just keeps them going.
Hola, muy buenos días, tardes, no sé. Mi nombre es Saray del Carmen Soto González y yo vengo desde Tamazula de Gordiano, Jalisco. No soy de aquí, de Los Ángeles. Vengo nomás para aprender a un nivel más profesional en lo de las clases de vocal, porque vine hace 3 años y vine con mi mariachi. Hace 2 años vine en clases de guitarra. Esta vez vengo sola y vengo a clases de canto, al igual que vengo al concurso, que de los finalistas del concurso, y también vengo a concursar. Y me encantan estas clases porque me gusta cómo se desarrollan, cómo las imparten las clases, las imparten de una manera muy, muy bien. A mi punto de vista lo hacen muy, muy bien. Y me encantan cómo las expresan. Y pues espero en el concurso, vengo a participar y a tratar de ganar, porque sí veo la competencia muy, muy difícil, porque son muy buenas voces las que hay aquí. Y pues ya, sería todo. Adiós.
Hello, the name is Edgar Cabachuela. This is my 2nd year coming to the Mariachi Nationals. My last time was in 2016. I wanted to try my luck at it again because to me it's a challenge for a singer to try to compete with singers from all over the country, especially young singers that are coming up. Myself, I've been doing it since I was 2 years old. I like the Mariachi Nationals because it's a challenge to work with such an awesome mariachi like Sol de Mexico and Reina de Los Angeles. I feel like they push you to be a better musician/singer. And every song that you do, either as a solo artist or in a competition or even with them as well. So I'm using it basically as a learning experience, as a bit of a redemption to try to hopefully win this time, and also to grow as a musician.